Astronomicon, the #1 pop culture event of the year.
Comics, toys, horror, wrestling, pop culture,
and much, much more.
February 8th through the 10th, 2019. Wyndham Gardens, Sterling Heights, Michigan.
34911 Van Dyke, Sterling Heights, Michigan. 48312. Tickets and VIP packs are available at astronomicon.com/tickets.
More than just a Comic-Con, it's Astronomicon.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this special Astronomicon episode of the BREWtally Speaking Podcast, the official podcast at MetalNexus.net, home for all your metal and hard rock news, interviews, and so much more. And so much more is Daniel Terry, who is with me as always.
As every time I am with you.
I mean, you got a slew of video games. I'm not going to keep this in the episode, but you're all grumpy about some old-ass technology.
Yeah, that's just kind of one of my things, man. I get pretty grumpy about stuff that doesn't matter, so talking about stuff that does matter.
Yeah, I had the pleasure the last two really snowy days here in Michigan to talk about the Astronomicon Festival, which is coming up next Friday, February 8th through the 10th at the Wyndham Garden in Sterling Heights. Yeah, Dan, have you ever been to a con?
Yeah, I've been to a few Comic Cons, and obviously I've been to Rockin' Pod, which is a con. I don't care what anybody says. It's totally a metal and hard rock con.
Now,
so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty familiar. You know, you get yourself some celebrities out there to come talk to the people, get them to come in, and it's just kind of a way for a lot of people that are really into horror and pop culture to get together and talk about what they love and meet fellow fans and make connections that way. You get to meet a lot of cool people, and I haven't been to a con that I've really thought has been too bad. My wife even dragged me to a steampunk convention one time, and that was fun too.
I have never been to a con of any kind. I've always wanted to go. I think if you have listened to the podcast enough or heard me talk to some people about various things, whether it be, video games or movies and so forth, obviously I'm a fan of a lot of different things. And I think, the fun thing, even though this is very centric to this specific con here in Michigan that's happening again in Sterling Heights next Friday, this kind of covers a lot of things. It is the second Astronomicon being put on by the Twiztid guys, Paul and Jamie. And, this year it definitely has the horror vibe that you would definitely expect from those guys. I mean, you have such classic character actors as Bill Moseley, who was actually on this episode, Kane Hodder, Jason Voorhees, obviously. Edward Furlong, which that one definitely surprised me. I was not expecting him to... I haven't really seen his name at many cons. I kind of thought he disappeared. So maybe it'll be interesting to see what he's up to and maybe get him to do a couple minutes with me while we're there. Linda Blair, not Selma Blair. I know I fucked that up. We had actually just recently, and this was totally fitting of a con and why it didn't seem out of the realm of plausibility to be the right name. At work, we made the Craft shirt, which has got Selma Blair on it.
Well, very cool.
So I had Selma Blair on the mind the last couple of days, and not Linda Blair. So apologies, and everyone who will comment in, yes, I know. But right. I mean, it also covers wrestling. We got Dustin Rhodes, a.k.a. Goldust. We have Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, The Outsiders, NWO. You got Jake the Snake, even reality stars such as Bam Margera from Jackass and CKY and a slew of other skateboarding things, and Tiny Zeus Lister from the fucking Friday movies. Like, there's so many cool people at this thing. I don't know if my wife is going to like it. I hope she does.
I think she probably will. There's a lot of cool people there, and, never underestimate the power of just the people that are there, not just the celebrities or the panels or the events, but sometimes just like the people that you meet at these cons. You may find out that there's a lot of like-minded people that are right next to you.
Yeah, that's true. So we're actually running two interviews back-to-back, something we've not done before, but like I said, we wanted to do a little bit of pre-coverage for the Astronomicon, which again is happening next week, Friday the 8th through the 10th. Go to astronomicon.com and you can see a listing of everyone there, get VIP passes and so forth. So the first up will be a quick about 15-20 minute interview I did with Bill Moseley of the Devil's Rejects. And coming out soon enough, hopefully, will be the third installment of the House of a Thousand Corpses Devil Rejects franchise, which is going to be 3 from Hell. You might also remember him as Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, if you remember that movie.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. And
bring the whole house down.
Yeah, it was It was fun. We talked a little bit about Detroit's own Childbite. He was in their video for Vermin Mentality, and he was even in a video of Twiztid's. I don't remember what the song was called, but I did check it out, and it was a lot of fun. And I gotta say, it was Dan called me out for calling him Mr. Moseley.
You're like, hello, is Mr. Moseley there?
Also, a fun little of note thing is the fact that during it, you can hear, if you listen really carefully, you can hear a huge, like, just burst of thunder. And apparently, when I was on Facebook after the interview, everyone that lives in California was talking about it. Apparently, could be heard like all over California or all over like Hollywood area. It was nuts. I didn't hear it until I went back to edit because he was like, "Sorry about that," and I was like, "I didn't hear anything." And then when I went back to edit it, I was like, "Holy shit, you can really hear it."
He wasn't lying.
No, nope. So I left all that in for everybody. So we're going to kick it off with my little chat with Bill Moseley, and then we will get into my chat with Jamie Madrox of Twiztid, talking more things Astronomicon, and we'll talk to you guys afterwards.
What up? This is Bam Margera letting everybody know to check out BREWtally Speaking Podcast. They talk to members of CKY, Guar, and a fuckload of other bands, so check them out on iTunes, Spotify, and whatever else you listen to podcasts. Cheers.
Hello, is this Mr. Moseley?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you doing? This is John with the podcast.
Hey, John, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. Hopefully you're not stuck in any frigid winter weather like we have here in Michigan.
John, actually, I think I heard the first rumbles of an oncoming rainstorm.
We are about to experience that too, so our shit's going to not only be frozen, but then have a nice batch of ice on top of it as well.
I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I grew up in northern Illinois, and good old Barrington, Illinois, and that's why I moved to California.
I was out there early last year, and I couldn't get over, out to LA that is, and I couldn't get over how none of the industry or the town wants to do anything before noon.
Yeah, we like to sleep. We're all vampires here.
I suppose that's why the Hollywood vampires sting.
Yeah, the Hollywood vampires. We stay up very late.
Well, we could wax about weather and old-timey Hollywood stuff, but the real reason you're actually here is to talk about the Astronomicon, which is happening next week, February 8th through the 10th, out here in Michigan, but to be more specific, out in Sterling Heights, Michigan. You are no stranger to the con world. How has it been for you to kind of, firsthand get to interact with your fans and kind of hear about how your work has impacted them?
It's been a lot of fun. I'm sorry, my wife just came in completely freaked out because a giant tongue of lightning just struck literally about probably not less than a mile away.
Oh, wow.
And then there was a huge explosion. So could you ask me that question again, please?
Yeah, I was just saying, you're no stranger to the con world. I know you have gone to a lot of cons over the years, and it puts you in, I think, in a very unique opportunity to be one-on-one with your fans and actually get to hear what your work over the several decades has done for these people or what it means to them. So I just kind of wanted to know, what is that experience like from your end?
It's a lot of fun, and I really I commend the fans first and foremost for their courage, because a lot of times, I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you have a hero, a favorite actor, a favorite musician, somehow, some way, you have somebody on a pedestal, and then you meet them in person and they turn out to be less than you had expected or hoped.
Right.
And meaning sometimes they're assholes. And that can really be ruinous, because that also, because that kind of blows your appreciation of whatever movie or song or whatever it was that you loved in the first place. So I commend the fans for coming up and sticking their hands out, which is great. And I really consider it a very important duty, and part of my job is to be a decent human being, just so that just to preserve their appreciation for whatever the movie was or the song was that I participated in. That being said, I love to hear, when people come up to you and they say, I love your work. It was so important to me and my family. I mean, of course, that's going to, make anybody feel good. And, I also love the cons because, of course, I get to hang out with my fellow monsters. That's a big plus. I love hanging out with Sid Haig and Kane Hodder and Doug Bradley and Linda Blair, Ashley Lawrence, Elvira. That's just, it's a hoot. We really have a lot of fun. They're all great people. Then the other thing is that it's also a good place to encourage young talent. I've had a couple of instances where, I've gotten jobs even, or I've gotten compliments from people who said, when I was 7, I met you at a convention and now I'm, 60. No, not that long. But now, years later, that encouraged me to, write something or direct something or write and direct something. So that also is really important to just, give encouragement to, in some direction, I guess, in a very general way to, aspiring, writers and directors and actors.
It's kind of funny. I wanted to mention a few ties you actually have to the Detroit area, and with this con specifically. I mean, you appeared in a Twiztid video, who, Paul and Jamie are the two putting this on, but something I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit more about is you were in a video with my friend's Child Bite for Vermin Mentality a little while ago. How did that come about?
That came about because I ended up doing an EP with Phil Anselmo of Housecore Records. Mm-hmm. And I had met Child Bite at Housecore Music and Horror Convention back in San Antonio a couple years ago. And I think Child Bite, are they from Wisconsin or something? I mean,
nope, they're all from Detroit.
They're all from Detroit. I beg your pardon.
No, it's okay.
I knew they were Midwest. I forgot exactly where they were from. But yeah, I mean, I love their music. I saw them perform down at Phil Anselmo's show. And we became pals that way. And then, of course, when I did Bill and Phil, Songs of Darkness and Despair, we were all part of the Housecore family. So, and then Vermin Mentality was like, oh my God, so much fun to do. And it was a fun video to shoot. It was crazy. I loved the song. And, we just kind of took it from there.
With everything being in the Housecore family, would you like to collaborate with, Sean or the Child Bite guys at all and maybe do a track with them? Is that something that's been discussed at all?
It hasn't been discussed, but I'm totally open to it. That would be great. Actually, I'm working, again, speaking of the Housecore family, right now I'm working with a couple of guys from the band War Beast. Okay. And we formed our own little side band called Mr. Machine. And so we're working up an EP right now. So that's really a lot of fun.
Now, flirting around with some of the band stuff you've done, I know there's a con, Rock and Shock, down on the East Coast somewhere. And I know they like to
yes, it's in Worcester, Mass.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just didn't, I didn't want to speak wrongly. Yep. But, I know they do a lot of bands. They'll have Doyle play and, a lot of bands that are kind of in the realm of the horror pop culture con thing. Has anyone actually ever approached you to play at any of these cons, or is that something you would like to do?
No, but I've gone to Rock and Shock a number of times. In fact, that's the first time I saw ICP. Okay. And was Rock and Shock, and a former. A couple of bands that were regular there for a couple of years. One was ICP, and the other one was GWAR. Mm-hmm. And it was very funny because the poor auditorium where the bands played, they got out a lot of plastic for both bands. GWAR, of course, squirting all kinds of colored blood and jizz and whatever else was coming out of them and off on all the mosh pit. Right. And then, of course, ICP with all the Faygo. It was like, it was so funny because, I just imagine that, I'm sure, certainly there were great concerts, but it was probably, I bet you the cleanup bill was pretty big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of those bands aren't allowed to play in certain areas. They have certain venues they stick to because of that very reason.
I'll bet.
Kind of speaking, staying in the realm of music and the conventions and so forth. Obviously news has been made that you guys and one gal recently wrapped up the new Rob Zombie film, the Three from Hell.
Yeah, we actually wrapped that last year, and then right after we wrapped, which is late spring of last year, Rob went on the road. Speaking of music, with Marilyn Manson, and was gone for I think they were touring for almost 3 months.
About, yeah.
And then what happened was that's when Rob got back into post-production on Three from Hell, which I think is still going on as far as I know. And so somehow, some way, Three from Hell will be coming out later this year. That's the most specific I've gotten. Later this year, and it should be. I mean, according to Rob, he's very excited. So when I hear that, it makes me feel good, because it means that maybe I won't get fired. I guess it's a little late for that. So I'm always happy as an insecure actor to hear that he's happy with everything.
Right. Are you surprised? It's been made very public, a lot of the issues that surrounded getting House of a Thousand Corpses released initially. Are you surprised all these years later, decades later now actually, that you're still playing the same character from that first movie that seemed so doomed that it would never get out due to all the issues with finding a home for it and so forth?
I am surprised and happy. In fact, it's the only Otis Driftwood is the only character that I've ever reprised, even once. Certainly, some of my other, more renowned characters like Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw 2, never did that again. Never did Johnny from Night of the Living Dead. Of course, I died pretty quickly, so there wasn't really much to do except come back as a zombie. And they, unlike the original, they did not have Johnny come back. Actually, I did come back, but I was just they brought back my dummy, and I was in the back of a pickup truck, and they pulled some canvas, and they went, "Oh my God, Johnny!"
Right?
Because they didn't have the budget, quote unquote, to fly me back for any kind of zombie walk as Johnny. So I didn't reprise that character. Luigi Largo from Repo, the Genetic Opera. There never really was a sequel, so I didn't reprise that character. Although I did work for Darren Bousman, the director, in a movie called The Devil's Carnival, which followed Repo, which was also a musical. But I didn't play Luigi. I played the magician in that one. So Otis Driftwood is really the only character I've ever had a chance to revisit, and it was very interesting. It was interesting this time around because for Three from Hell, because this is now, I think it's got to be about 14 years later since we shot Devil's Rejects. So it was interesting to revisit Otis, and I do remember there was a scene right when we started shooting. There was a moment where I had some kind of a, not such a long, a speech, let's say, and and I was going for it, and I was fumbling my lines, which is something you don't really want to see in an actor. But I just kept kind of fumbling my lines, and and Rob was kind of looking at me like, what's going on here, and I took a moment, and I just kind of sat down, and I heard this voice in my head, and the voice was, Bill, just sit this one out, I got it. And basically it was the voice of Otis, and Otis knew how to play Otis. Bill was kind of doing the insecure actor, like, what's my line? What's my motivation? I never asked that, actually, but, it was like, instead of the insecure actor, it's just like, please get out of the way. Sit down, go to craft service. Have a cup of tea. Let me handle this. And as soon as we figured that out, me and Otis, everything worked out just great.
Yeah, I have to thank you personally for providing one of the most awkward experiences of my life with my parents, watching that hotel scene with them the first time they had seen Devil's Rejects, because I had bought the movie and talked it up so much they wanted to watch it with me, and then I forgot about that. Somehow I forgot about that, and then that scene pops up, and I was like, it's already awkward enough, but it's really awkward watching it with your parents, and I just kind of was like, guess we're now all experiencing this. So thank you for
well, you're welcome.
That.
And how did your parents like it?
They equally thought it was equally disturbing. Which, I know
it is disturbing.
I know.
It disturbed me.
I know. I was gonna say, I had them watch the special feature on, the whole making of the movie, but that thing, because I was like, it's just so human because of how human you all made it. Like the fact that all of you in the room were like, God, this is really fucking tough. But, I think it's the fact that everyone was able to get it there that makes that movie especially just so human. And, it's something I think, you guys have all talked about, just how you turn despicable humans and make them somehow, you care for all three of them in their own unique way, even though they do atrocious things to people.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just like, for some reason, I end up in these fucked up families, starting with the Sawyers, of course, is Chop Top in the Texas Chainsaw 2. And then Luigi Largo, I'm a member of the Largo family, and they are completely fucked up in Repo. And, the Driftwoods and the Fireflies, in House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. So, but what's really interesting is that a lot of people can identify because, certainly that we're on a long car trip. Baby wants to stop and get ice cream. I say, no fucking way. There ain't no ice cream in your fucking future. And it's tutti fucking fruity and, the whole deal. And that really, I think, was that turned the audience from reviling us to really identifying.
Right.
And then, but also you have to give a lot of credit to William Forsythe as Sheriff Waddell. I mean,
yeah.
he was even more despicable than we were.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot.
Well, I mean, there's not really a great segue to kind of end this from that. Something about, meeting a wonderful family, I think, and something I'm very much looking forward to. This is going to be my first con ever. My wife and I are coming up to hopefully get some more interviews and just check it out, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what it's all about. It seems like a great culture of people who are very supportive of everyone's various interests and so forth, and I think it's going to be a great time. So... do you have anything to...
It should be a great time. And, and what is funny, and again, kind of peculiar, I guess, at least superficially, and that is that, a lot of the horror people that you will meet, myself, I hope included, are actually decent human beings.
Oh, for sure.
And that makes it even more of a head-scratcher. Like, how... Wait a minute. You mean you don't sacrifice animals and go out and, strangle people at midnight?
Right.
Like, no, actually, no. I, wash the dishes and do the laundry and, walk my dog. So it's like, sorry, I don't, I don't have a satanic altar. So it's a lot of, it's great to, in a way, to find that out, because you realize that, that's the art of this kind of entertainment. Kind of like Grand Guignol, where you basically this isn't real. We make it real when we're actually, when the director says action. You better make it real, or else, people are going to know that you're just faking it. So we don't mess around, but we don't live that lifestyle. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Well, not all of us. I'm sure some of them do, but not me.
Well, fair enough. Well, Bill, thank you. Mr. Moseley, thank you again for taking the time, and hopefully we will see you next Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully
I look forward to it. And again, and Sid and I are doing that, doing the photo op on Saturday.
Yeah, in the full makeup, I think I read.
I'm dressing up as Otis from House of a Thousand Corpses in the black and white face paint and the red robe, and Sid's dressing up as Captain Spaulding in his full clown costume. And if you want to see what it looks like, I'm on Instagram as @ChopTopMoseley.
Okay.
And if you go to @ChopTopMoseley, there's I posted a picture of what we will look like. I guess your face here is what the understanding is, and so check that out too.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you next week. Safe travels.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
And now let's throw it over to my conversation with Jamie Madrox of Twiztid, talking all things Astronomicon.
All right. How are you?
I'm doing good. I don't know. I mean, I know you're in Michigan, obviously, because I heard that you were in the studio. So you're getting just as dumped on as we are, probably here in Grand Rapids.
It's more of a cold issue with us here. I don't know. They're like acting like it's never been this cold before. I mean, it is chilly outside, but it's like people are acting really, really uptight and crazy over this. It's something extra. I don't know.
We got dumped on since Sunday night, and it's just kind of been nonstop. I ended up losing power yesterday, which is why we had to move this. My power and internet's been very fickle at best, and as a result, came to one of the only places that is actually open, which is a bar here in town that has Wi-Fi.
Wow!
Because literally, there is
that's great.
The road I'm on. I mean, I know you guys have played around here in Grand Rapids a bit. The post office is closed. There is up to no court, no post office, no school, and something else. It was pretty much all the stuff that could potentially have someone outside waiting to get in somewhere or delivering door to door. Yeah, they shut. I put the kibosh on all of that shit. It's crazy. I mean, it's really nuts to know that it's that cold outside. But yeah, we got our snow. We got our healthy dose of snow, and then it kind of just got plowed and everybody took care of that, and then it was just on came this chill, and it just got colder and colder and colder, and I'm like, God damn, it's insane. It's really crazy. Yeah, so apologies if you have any background noise, since apparently this is one of the only places that is open, like I said, today. So and someone just
they're smart because they're making the business. They're smart because they're making the business. Everyone else is in home in their little hobbit holes, and these guys are up here raking it all in.
Yeah.
I love that.
And someone brought their Bernese Mountain Dogs, and it's awesome. So
hell yeah, right on. Oh, good stuff.
The real reason we have you on is to talk about Astronomicon, which is happening next Friday, as of when we're recording this.
Yeah. February 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Wyndham Garden in Sterling Heights. Yes, sir.
This is going to be my first con, and I'm really looking forward to it. You guys did you did an impressive job last year of getting good people, but this year I think the cross-section between horror, pop culture, and whatever else I'm going to stumble upon, I think you guys have upped the ante as far as this con from last year's.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it real open, so we cover a lot of genres, and so that there's a little something for everybody, from mom, dad to the kids. There's going to be something for everyone there, and I like that about it myself. And I agree with you. We had a good picking of people the first time around, and this time as well. And my main thing is fingers, toes, and everything crossed that if we don't get no snow like we did last year, I think we might be setting some records this year. Because that was the only thing that really, last year, the first year, the initial year was a success. It was just that it could have been so much bigger, so much better. But we were 3 feet of snow. We had people doing donuts in the parking lot, and people still came out. They still came out in droves. So that was a good sign to me, and it let me know that, it's not only the regional and the metropolitan Detroit area that's coming out to this, but there are, in fact, people that are flying on planes and making the trek and making this their vacation. So it is kind of a big to-do kind of thing. So I'm honored to be a part of that and actually being able to bring a second year of it and keep it trucking,
So, with the first year, the thing that I think is interesting about you guys, as Twiztid and everything you've done, you guys are very business-minded, and that's something we kind of talked about the last time you were on this show. But with it being a con where it's something, I feel like I've never thrown a con, but I've thrown on concerts, and, I know people who have put on festivals and so forth, and it's a year-round thing. So how how much time really goes into, as soon as last year's was done, how quickly were you already working on this year's?
Literally within that very month, we were already right back at it, and some of the team was already booking and locking in because people were adamant about, we want that next release date. We want to be able to lock it in. Like, when is it? We know it's going to be February. We know it's going to be metropolitan Detroit area. Where and when? Let us know. It happened to be blessed to be at the same place and pretty much almost calendar to date, same date. So you know what I mean? It might be over by a day or so, but like literally tried to keep everything the same. And yeah, it's definitely a lot of work. It's definitely a lot of work that they put into this. It's definitely no easy task. Paul and I aren't as immersed in it per se as Mike and George and Dustin and Jason and the rest of the guys, but I feel confident in knowing that I got a good team who is all about business and has literally showed and proved. And I'm extremely confident about that.
What's interesting to me about this is like I said, the fact that you guys, you could easily rest on the people and the pop culture people that you have come across doing the cons that you have over the last handful of years. But it seems like, like with Selma Blair, that's obviously going someone, in my parents' generation that are 20, 30 years older than me in my mid-30s. You have people like Bam and stuff like that doing, like, when you guys were going to all these cons, how much, no pun intended, how much reconnaissance were you kind of doing, going, like, with you and Paul going, like, all right, like, this is the things we love about this con, this is what we don't like about this. So when you finally decided to do the Astronomicon last year, you knew how to go about it the best that you could for a first-year con.
It wasn't so much that we were doing like the recon work. I think it was more that the people that we are and the kids that we were, I think we were mentally soaking up everything so that when we were posed to do this, luckily we were able to draw back on some of that information and take what we liked about different conventions. Like the first time we went to a Star Trek convention and we were blown away that people were doing the cosplay thing and everything like that. Like, I'll never forget that. Like, we were just like, this guy's dressed like a fucking Romulan right now. Like, what the hell's going on? Paul, are you seeing this? He's like, these are two kids from the hood. Like, the closest thing we've seen to a Romulan was like Channel 20 TV when they played the classic Star Trek. Like, this was great. And seeing how people reacted to Jimmy Doohan and just stuff like that, and how that migrated into the comic cons, and just seeing how important the vendors are and people who do good business and people who do shitty business. And you know what I mean? Just like paying attention to things. And as we got older and always wanted to, we always want to do everything. Anything that we think is fun, that we enjoy, we'd like to, obviously try to throw our hat in the game as well. But with the con thing, it's been something that we've wanted to do for a great long time. And actually, literally last year was us breaking our cherry, so to speak, on that with no looking back, and already full-fledged bringing number 2. And dare I say it, we were already in talks with a few people for Astro 3. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to be very progressive about keeping it ahead of its time, so that in case it does become this, what we think it should be, we're already geared up for it.
It's funny, I think that speaks to just how future-minded you guys have always been with every venture you have. You're never complacent with what you're doing currently, which isn't to say that you are overlooking any of the things that you're currently doing, but you're always thinking about how to take it to the next level and always be bigger and better. And I think that that's always served you guys very well. And it's something with the con, like I said already, it's something I've noticed. And so therefore it's like this con hasn't even happened. Thank you. This con hasn't even happened, and I'm already excited about next year's, because I'm like, where the fuck are they going to take it? Who are they going to get next year?
That's awesome. And see, and the beauty in that is, and I think that's why we have such a good team, is because my whole team is just like you and I. We're just as lost in the fandom and caught in the moment as everyone should be, because at the end of the day, it's like what these are memories and opportunities. And we didn't realize that as children growing up and stuff like that, and thinking about it now, like Jimmy Doohan's passed away, William Shatner's passed away, Stan Lee's passed away, all people that Paul and I have met.
Wait, Bill Shatner passed away? How did I miss that?
Wait, oh no, I'm sorry. What did I say? Well, I meant to say, God, Jesus Christ, God bless him in heaven, Will Shatner. No, I meant to say Leonard Nimoy. My bad.
No, I was like, God damn, well, how did I miss William Shatner,
dude,
the king
no,
of the kings?
I was even lost in the sauce too. I was like, whoa, shit, for real? No, but I mean, but that's what I'm saying though. It's like taking for granted these opportunities, which become memories and opportunities like that. And it's like, we're like, oh, we've seen him. He'll be here. He'll be again next year, and so on and so forth. And really, the same deal with Adam West. You know what I mean? It was like I got the chance to meet Adam West, Burt Ward, all at the same time. Mind you, Burt Ward's still alive, but it'll never be the same. You see what I mean?
No, for sure.
It's like those. That's what it's all about, I think. And it's like in watching the magic and watching people being so happy to be able to converse with their heroes and people that they look up to, and actually seeing how much some of these people actually do care about being in these blessed positions. You know what I mean? It's really, really an interesting thing, man. It's beyond amazing.
Something else kind of in thinking about putting on a con, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of living legends and so forth. The weird thing that, kind of been thinking about doing it is, you kind of spoke to the Adam West thing of like, him and Adam and Burt Ward, kind of are this classic iconic duo, literally, of Batman and Robin for a lot of generations.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, with being a young con, are people worried about you protecting, like someone like Selma Blair's like legacy? Like, I know you were on the Talk to Me podcast that aired this past week, and you were talking about how you're excited about having Selma Blair on, not because she was in The Exorcist, which I know you're a fan of, but because she was in, and I can't remember the movie you spoke of, but it's a very...
Oh, you're talking about Linda Blair. Yes,
I'm sorry,
Linda Blair.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. No.
Yeah.
Now I know. Now we're on the same page. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like with people like her. No, and I see where you're going with this. And when we started off, we heard that from a lot of people, and we were really taken back by that. To be blatantly honest, when people would say we don't fuck around with first time cons, and we were like, wait, say that again. We don't fuck around with first time cons, and I had to have somebody legit, take me to the little kids table and be like, okay, Jamie, what that means is they're not sure that you're going to be a real thing. You're not just a flash in the pan, so you have to do this again for them to see either A, you're persistent, B, it's actually working, or C, you got a hot thing on your hands here. You know what I mean? And it's like, and after having that little pep talk, now I get it. So when we have people like Linda Blair or, just Dee Snider, you know what I mean? It's like people like that coming in, like these are people that are coming in on the word of other people that were at the first. You know what I mean? Word goes around. You know what I mean? We have a tendency of trying to treat people exactly the way we wanted to be treated. Right. and so forth. So, and I think that reflects who we are and what kind of business we run as well. Because people know it's not a shit show. You're not going to get there. It's not going to be disorganized. You're not going to not have a room. There's nowhere for you to be. There's no one to be with. You know what I mean? It's like we are very, very adamant about handling every facet of this. And that was, whether it be trial and error from last year, and now we came with our pencils extra sharpened this year. You know what I mean? I mean, we are ever ready for all of the potential things that could happen from what has happened and potentially what could happen. You know what I mean? People missing flights. That was a big issue with the weather and the inclement, all the weather and so on and so forth. Like we got it to the point where now in some cases we watch the weather to see how it's going to be and fly people in a day or two early and literally put them up in a hotel so that they will be in the vicinity. You know what I mean? Which is important because if you're going to promote someone be there and then they not show, sometimes that can be a problem. Sometimes it's an act of God. Sometimes it's out of everyone's hands. But if you can possibly go that extra mile just to ensure that your clientele and all your family goers are going to have that opportunity, I think that's pretty cool. I like this. I'm proud to say that about us. I think that's pretty rad that we give a shit that much to make sure that we want to honor everything we say we're going to do.
Something I've kind of wondered, I mean, obviously you guys have never shied away from the fact that you're from Michigan, you're from Detroit, and, a lot of the economic struggles that we as a state and kind of, I guess, Detroit is going through a big rebuild right now, growing back to its old days of prominence. Do you feel like a lot of people in the con world that you guys have experienced are kind of like, Detroit? Yeah, I don't really want to go there. Like, is even that an issue for getting people to come out?
I mean, as far as I want to say no, that hasn't been an issue. Thank God for us so far. I think what it is I think I really truthfully think it's a matter of integrity. It's a matter of ticket sales. It's a matter of business savvy, and it's a matter of, you know, word of how you do business gets around in this industry and that type of industry, for example, because you see there's only like a few promoters that run select shows, and obviously, you know, there's certain people that are exclusively behind the scenes and to only come into like a New York Comic-Con or a San Diego Comic-Con. You see what I mean? It's like they're contractually obligated where they're not allowed to mess with someone a little like us.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that creates a weird problem as well, too, in our world for as we go forward with this, because as we learn about some of the people who have little special deals like that, it's kind of a letdown because it just goes to show you that you won't be able to have any and every one that you want. But more importantly, on the glass half full side of that, it really lets you appreciate those who do show out for you.
No, for sure. And
that's how I look at it.
No,
you know,
most definitely.
It's like if you're willing to take an opportunity with me and Paul and George and Mike and really willing to roll the dice with us and come out and trust us, I want you to be the happiest person in the world, and I want you to be like, they didn't let me down. They did everything they said they were going to do. Yeah, I would do it again. I don't care if you did it in hell. I'll be there in hell with you. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that's what outweighs anything, location or whatever, you know?
So, speaking to location and, you know, the obvious growth that you guys want with this con, I would assume always being in Detroit is the goal. You always want it to be centrally located where you guys are. Is that a...
Well, somebody asked us that question the other day, and it was it was like a multi-phone interview, and it was interesting. And Paul had his opinion, and I had my opinion, and it was more or less, it was the same question but posed in a different manner. It was, what do you see the longevity of this? And what I honestly said, and I still feel the same way, is that my end game would be that not only that Astronomicon be a Detroit-based event is where it started. It will always be an annual event, but I would love to see the likes of, you know, Astronomicon London or Astronomicon New York or Astronomicon Chi-Town. You know what I mean? And it's like like let's say we get to a point where you know, it's actually something that we could potentially market and take on the road as if a tour. You know what I mean? And how would we do that? And we would wrap our mind around figuring how we could do it, and we would do stops like a tour and like literally take Astronomicon around the globe and try to bring the events and all these cool things. Because I mean, this time around we're starting to add more stuff into the fold too, because for the demographic of people that come there for to see Twiztid and participate with us. We found out last year, obviously first year, trial and error, but the people want to be more hands-on with us. They want to have more opportunities to spend time with us and do things. So we're trying to make ourselves more accessible this year than ever before, to the point where we have a schedule laid out where you can learn how to draw with us for a segment of the day. There's photo ops, there's autographs, there's there's a script reads. We do that twice. Those are super, super fun. Everybody goes straight to Instagram or Facebook Live and starts filming it. And we literally, obviously it's off the cuff, so it's impromptu. So the mess ups are more welcome. That's the greatest part of Saturday Night Live, is when they fuck up and everybody starts laughing truly, So it's like, that's something that I'm proud to say that we kind of just tried it. And it worked, and it got a really, really great response from everybody, and popular demand. We're bringing it back. Liked it so nice, we're going to do it twice this time. So who knows what happens in Astronomicon 3, man. Seriously. And it's cool, because this time we're going to do it with props, and I wanted to do that the first time around. So, again, upgrading and raising the bar a little bit, even if it's a little bit.
Kind of speaking to that, something, I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit, most of the cons that happen, one of the cons that I really have wanted to go to, and I know you guys have been a part of a couple of times at least, is the Rock and Shock podcast, where there's like an all-star band thing that happens at the end of these things. Is that something you would like to start incorporating, which is more of the music side of things, getting bands to come and play, maybe bands that kind of fit into the con world as much as it can?
Sure, and yeah, absolutely, and we do something like that. You know, like for the first year, we have our VIP after parties where, like, this year one of the evenings is you do karaoke with us, and that's going to be a super duper blast because it's going to be a couple of the select groups from MNE, and we're all going to like play with the fans and see what we come up with, man. That's one night, and then the other night is there actually going to be a show as well. So we kind of, again, just like how when we say, like, everything, we try to take what we like from stuff when we're making our own. So, and those shows are great. And if we were to take it somewhere, I would love to grab, like, obviously the regional big guy or guys, the big dog around town. You know what I mean? Would you guys want to play, Astronomicon late night set? That would be great. If I'm going to Jersey, I'm calling Jerry only. Hey, man, you think you could come in and play this Misfits gig for me, man?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Like,
he only plays Madison Square Gardens now.
I'm sure. Hey, man. Hey, you know what? And I'm proud of him because I remember when he wasn't playing them, and he was telling me about how his mom makes the greatest meatballs in the world, and that's the Jerry I know, and hopefully that's still the Jerry that knows me.
Well, I mean,
hopefully, maybe that's
you
might be right.
I was gonna say maybe that's the Jerry. Maybe that'll come next year to Astronomicon 3. Maybe that's the kind of people that you can start pulling in.
And that's the thing, and that's what I love about it as well. And it's cool being pals with people, and it's nice to have those even if I can't do it, it's good to know that at least you have access to people that other people may not, because there's certain agencies that can only get you so far, and sometimes having somebody who knows somebody, or more importantly, knowing them directly, is the best way. Like, hey, man, don't shoot the shit with me. You can or you can't do it. Like, I can't do it. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for keeping it real. You know what I mean?
No,
but
for
it's
sure,
like,
for sure.
That's awesome just to have that direct, It makes things a lot easier. Because when you talk through people and agents and stuff like that, it tends to be a domino effect. It takes more time than necessary sometimes.
So, I mean, kind of in wrapping up, because I don't want to take up too much your time in the snowpocalypse that we're in. So, something I have... Actually, I'm just going to... There's no really good segue for this. So, a friend of mine that I work with at work, which is obviously why I work with him... he had mentioned a show at the Temple Club that you guys played where a fan had their finger severed. Do you remember this show? This is probably, we're going, oh fuck, man. We're probably going back 10, 15 years.
That sounds horrible. That sounds like something. No, I remember, like, I remember dumb shit, like, no, I don't remember. No, Why? So is the person? Please don't tell me they have a hook hand now.
No. They're not. I know what you did last summer. They're not coming to the con with
guy, girl. Like what?
No. So apparently, from the story, as it was told to me, was that basically my friend Andy was at a show at the Temple Club, which no longer exists. R.I.P.
Oh man.
But I mean, if you remember that club, it was like it was kind of the sketchiest club in Lansing or in this area that you could kind of go to because it was in a not great part of town. Which is also
twisted right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which is also why it went under because there was, regardless. But basically, that he went to go see you guys play. A friend of his is like, "Hey, we gotta go. Our friend had their finger cut off," and he goes, "Oh, you mean broken?" And she goes, "No, like her finger was literally severed because like the barricade broke, and then she was like." Got her finger, I guess, pinned between the barricade and something, and like I guess maybe it was like one of the first people on the barricade where like the stage and the barricade.
I have so many creepy questions because I know from watching like medical shows you're supposed to keep the piece warm. So did the person put the finger in their mouth?
I thought you were supposed to put it on ice.
Oh, I thought you were supposed to keep it room temperature.
I thought you were supposed to put it on ice.
If you put it on ice. Really?
Hold on.
Now I'm going to Google this shit.
I have to Google this shit. Everything I've heard, and I mean, hence like why, like when weird shit happens to people out here in Michigan when it gets cold, they're like, well, it was already cold and it was already on ice.
I thought when it gets cold, that's when all the shit, all like the blood veins and all that shit, like start to god damn it. Like it locks like that, like the lock in, like what the fuck is it called? So that's why I thought. So I thought you had to keep it room temperature. I'm like, I'm sure that was a goddamn sight right there. A person with their own finger in their mouth. Like, what the fuck is going on? Where you coming from? The Twiztid Show. Hey, man. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
like, that sounds great. You can't write shit like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Fucking perfect.
I just imagine that person goes
man,
to the bar afterwards, goes, "Can I get one finger of whiskey?" and just drops their finger on the bar.
Right in the cup, like, oh man, like for real. That's taking it to the next level. But that's crazy. Well, hopefully you said we solidified they weren't a hook hand. So there's
no. But apparently, like, my friend was just like, does he remember that? Because, like, that's something wild that happened at that show. And even had made the comment, I guess you guys the next day played in, like, Flint or somewhere back in Michigan the next day. And we're like, so, like, this is a pretty crazy show. But, like, last night this thing happened. And so he was
right.
So he was like, do they remember that, or has, like, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna ask him that, but then I'm gonna be like, has crazier shit happened at a show where you're like, yo, someone threw, like, their fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Not a fake, a fake leg. Basically, like, throwing, like, a fake leg or a fake limb at you, and then, like, sign this or, like, drink alcohol out of it or something.
Here's a quick impromptu one, and it's a nice little segue in how we got onto the Warped Tour. Originally, way once upon a time back in the day, we had a Warped Tour stop. They said Twiztid could play. We came out and they started throwing things at us. And I got hit, like, they were throwing, like, to be honest, the things were Gatorade bottles, plastic bottles filled with wet sand, because it was a pit that had been raining that day. It was like in this kind of like baseball dugout kind of deal. So these people were filling bottles of, like, wet sand, mud, packing them full, so they feel like bricks. And they're lobbing it at us. And, we're like, you're not going to stop our performance. Fuck that. And then I got hit in the chest with one, and I kind of lost it and jumped off stage and turned around, and my brother had somebody on a chain link fence, and it was just a complete crazy shit show. And it was because of that is why Kevin Lyman was like, man, I feel like that didn't happen the way that it should have. I want to give you guys another try. Are you down? Shut up or put up. And we did. And lo and behold, long story short, that's how we were just on the Warped Tour. Because of something just like that, because of just of a crazy story like that, of just people just, acting a fool. Not every music is going to be your music or your jams or whatever, but that's when it takes it to a whole nother level, when it threatens, like, your physical presence on stage,
Yeah, no, we definitely talked about your Warped Tour experience and just what all it has done for your career and just the vibes of that.
But that's why, though. But to segue back into your story, that was why, because that was somebody legit throwing shit at us, and that shit I will never forget. Like, getting hit with a fucking bottle of sand Gatorade in the chest and totally breaking character and being like, you got to be fucking kidding me, right? Who fucking threw that? You know what I mean? Because everything is just like, what the fuck? Just definitely something else, man.
Actually, kind of speaking to that, I know you guys, I mean, I don't want to break kayfabe, but, WWE broke kayfabe like a motherfucker at the Royal Rumble this past weekend when Ronda Rousey knocked out one of the Titantron corner posts, and then it was working the next match. So, I mean, kayfabe's dead. But all that aside, you guys there are some characters coming from the that you guys are playing. And you guys
Big Tank and Little Poot from the Big Money Hustlers universe. Yes, absolutely.
So
they are wild. They are thuggish. They are full of gold teeth and spite. And not only are they doing a VIP in photo op craziness, but they're also doing, which part of that is like a seminar, a Q&A. So, like, if you've ever wanted to ask them what it's like filming or being big movie stars in 2 movies, God knows what it's done to their inflated egos in their heads, but I'm sure that's definitely going to be one to see.
That's
those dastardly dickheads. I don't want to say that, they'll kick my ass, but yeah, no, that's definitely going to be something else. I think that's fun. For anybody from our world in the Twiztid universe, or the family, or however you want to see it or say it. People who know about us and our, other projects and shit like that, that's going to be a real treat to just see that it was fun doing the promos for it. I can only imagine how awesome it's going to be, especially if people get to ask questions. So that's even going to be just kicking it up level upon level.
So in speaking to that and bringing up wrestling, my last question for you is, cut a promo that'll make people super excited to come out to Astronomicon that may be on the fence.
Okay. All right. Hey, and the greatest part about it is the fact that it's radio. I can just read off my sheet.
I mean, you can. Yeah. I mean, that's what WWE does, right? They just get a script and they go out and perform it.
I mean, yeah, but some of them, I speak to the old times when they kind of came off their dome, but when it's so many people's names. But we can do Astronomicon February 8th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Wyndham Garden, Sterling Heights, Michigan. John Kassir, The Crypt Keeper, Sid Haig, King Hunter, R.A. Mahaloff, Bill Moseley, and Linda Blair. Horror movie legends will be there. What do you know about it? Wrestling superstar Scott Hall, Jake the Snake, fucking Scott Steiner, Goldust, and the Boogeyman. Goldust and the Boogeyman are also doing I totally broke character, but Goldust, because this is important. Goldust and Boogeyman are actually doing in character.
Are they? Is Boogeyman bringing the earthworms?
I'm saying, I'm wanting to know just like you.
Would you take the earthworms? Would you take them for a photo? Would you? Are you going to be that raw and do it?
I mean, I don't know that I'd physically eat one or have it all up in or near my mouth, but if he had him in the photo, I might stand next to him. I don't know. Boogeyman scares the shit out of me, man.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I told my wife, I was like, Boogeyman's going to be there in full regalia. And she goes, with the earthworms? I go, I don't know. And she goes, would you do a photo with the earthworms? And I go, I don't think I want to, but like I feel like I got to because like I don't want to be called a punk bitch.
Dude, hell no. You don't want to be called no punk bitch for one, but for two, I'm saying, I'm thinking a red light blinking. It's a real creepy scenario, but it don't stop there. Dee Snider, Bam Margera, Butch Patrick, Ed Furlong, Tiny Lister, Debo from Friday franchise, Mika and Kate from Paranormal Activity, also celebrating. I want to say, I think it's the 10th year.
Yeah, I think it
is.
Of
the Paranormal Activity franchise, which is kind of cool. And they're doing a panel there. And I personally, I don't know that I'm going to be able to attend all the panels because Jake Snake's doing a panel. There's a couple of really, really interesting panels that I have questions out of my own personal Rolodex of fandom that I want to know. Just things like from when I remember matches like when Jake battled Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Remember he used to bring the Kimono Dragon and he had Damien. It's like
the Rick Martel match. That Rick Martel match, the blind match.
Yeah, see what I'm saying. It's like he holds a different importance for each person, and it's like I can't imagine how awesome and how bountiful in information these seminars are going to be. But Ming Chen and Mike from AMC's Comic Book Men and all that goodness, and you can get your tickets and VIP packs at Astronomicon.com. Stank and Poop from the Big Money Rustlers franchise are going to be there. R.A. Mahaloff as Leatherface from Texas 3. Sid Haig is Captain Spaulding. Bill Moseley is Otis Driftwood. Again, Goldust and Boogeyman. All those people are doing in photo ops in full character regalia, just getting it in and just shit like that, man. Really cool opportunities and memories to be had. Also, as part of the full-on VIP pack, I have to say this as well. We have a comic book coming out from Source Point Press. It's called The Darkness. Yeah, for real. It's Haunted High as The Darkness Rises. It's a new miniseries. It's like a 4-issue deal, but everybody who gets VIP, they're going to get a special variant cover. I don't know if you follow comic books, but in the comic book world, it's all about variant covers.
Well, it's like vinyl.
And the less the production of the cover, the more valuable it is. Well, I can guarantee you that this is going to be one of the lowest production runs. It's strictly for the VIP in attendance. So however many people order, that's how many are going to be produced. But that's one of the cool perks as well, because that variant cover and the whole entire creative team is going to be there. So what a sweet piece to get tagged up and add to your collection if you're into that kind of deal. So, but yeah, man, that's my high energetic. I'm kind of sick, but I'm feeling it on a Wednesday. But yeah, for real, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a blast. You're going, right, John? You're going to go.
My wife and I are coming. It'll be our first con. You are popping our con cherry.
See, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, and it warms my heart hearing that. Because seriously, me and Paul did. On our own podcast show, Ashtrays and Action Figures, we were talking about that, and we were really taken back by how many people had never been to a convention, and how like important those things were in our lives, and to know that people who are now in our lives have no idea. They're like, wait, what's that? So that it's like full circle. It's a super duper honor to be that, and look forward to having you there as well as everybody else listening. Do not miss out. It's going to be the event of the year. It's the 8th and 9th and the 10th February, Astronomicon 2, Wyndham Garden, Sterling Heights, Michigan. Man, hope to see you guys there. And that's a wrap, man. I'm going to be there. I hope you there.
So that was my conversation with Bill Moseley and Jamie Madrox of Twiztid, going over all things Astronomicon, horror movie stuff, and, as Joshua Toomey likes to point out, or the Talk To Me podcast, that I like to talk a lot about local things. So got to hear a little bit about local weather that I'm experiencing here in Michigan, the polar vortex, as it's known. Dan, I don't know if you're in a polar vortex, but what did you think of
yeah,
that?
Dude. Yeah, no, I was in a polar vortex. We're pretty Midwest. I thought it was cool. I particularly enjoyed the story about somebody at a Twiztid show losing their hand.
It was a finger, not a hand.
Oh, it was a finger. Okay. Well, because then Jamie came back and said, "Oh God, I hope that guy doesn't have a hook hand now."
Yeah.
And then so that was very interesting. I think it's going to be cool. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in my neck of the woods, so you will not see me there this year.
This might be something.
It seems like a lot of fun, and I'm really into that, like all the horror movies and stuff. So I probably end up having a pretty good time.
Yeah, this might be something, something that we kind of wanted to do with this podcast, actually, is to kind of go and do a little bit of different things. I mean, I think, a lot of people who are into metal and so forth are obviously into, I would say, like, adult cartoons, comics, horror movies, and so forth. So this feels pretty fitting. It's not something we've done. I mean, I've already had Jamie from Twiztid on before, but, I mean, this is more specific to this con. And, like I was telling Dan after I talked to Bill, Mr. Moseley, a.k.a., that it was really weird because, I mean, it's like, we talk to musicians, and I think Dan and I will attest that, sometimes we get done talking to these people, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I just talked to insert whoever here. But I think there's a little bit of a difference in talking to someone like, Bill, who has been around for, like 30, 40 years at this point.
Yeah. He's been around a minute.
And has been in such, classic movies that are, if you're a fan of a few of these genres or whatever, I mean, it's like Devil's Rejects, I think, had a big stamp in time in the kind of early 2000s, mid 2000s. I don't think you can go anywhere and be like, what, aren't clowns fucking funny? Ain't I fucking funny? Or Tutti fucking fruity? Right. Like, there's just certain things, like maybe you don't even know where it's from, but like, it kind of tips its hat to those things being a pop culture thing. Somebody else that I'm actually really excited, and I don't know that we really talked about him a whole lot, Dee Snider was actually going to be here.
Oh yeah,
and
that's exciting.
I really hope that he'll give us a couple of minutes because I mean, Jesus Christ, that dude's a fucking legend in so many things in the horror world with his movie from what is it, 1998, 96, somewhere around there, Strangeland, and I mean, you and I talk about killer soundtracks all the time. That fucking movie had a dope ass soundtrack that if it ever got released on vinyl, I think it would make a lot of money for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely would. It's got everything.
Yeah, it really does. I think it really. I mean, it's still got like your your Panteras and stuff like that, but also has like your industrial and new metal that was coming in.
Biles on it, which is exciting.
Just to keep everything on brand. What have you been drinking this week?
Well, I've been deviating a little bit from my usual, which is Space Dust.
Well, you got a Elysian glass, I believe, for your birthday. Happy belated,
yes,
by
I
the way.
did. Thank you, Chris McCoy. He hooked me up with that as a little birthday present, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. As it's a little strange drinking beers that aren't Space Dust out of it, but I'm getting better at it. But no, I actually did go to a different Elysian product, which was the Day Glow, which has like the crazy tripped out tiger on the front of it.
Okay.
And it's an IPA. It's harsh. It's a little different than Space Dust. It actually gives me stomach problems, but it's
So
totally worth it. Yeah, well, it's worth it. I enjoy it.
So I decided to treat myself, knowing that I'd be doing this conversation with Dan and to kind of celebrate. So I went with a Michigan local. It's a Rochester Mills Milkshake IPA, brewed with milk, sugar, mangoes, and vanilla.
That's interesting.
It sure was. It was better than that beer I posted on our Instagram page, the three peels or whatever. That was not as good as I was expecting it to be. But I will say that Samoa beer was fucking delicious, and I need to go get more of it ASAP. So I've been very spoiled this last week and a half or so, just drinking really delicious beers and finding all kinds of fun flavors. I keep wanting to get Space Dust, but I feel like Dan's got that market cornered.
Yeah, for sure. You can always have some. You can get it pretty much anywhere now. It didn't used to be that way. You used to only be able to get it here, but now you can get it pretty much anywhere that sells decent beer.
Yeah, and kind of been wrapping up just because this episode's a little bit longer. Again, Astronomicon is next week as of the time you're going to hear this, February 8th through the 10th at the Wyndham Garden in Sterling Heights, Michigan, starting at 4:30 p.m. on Friday, goes till 10, Saturday from 11 to 7, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. for those that can't figure that out, and then Sunday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Go to Astronomicon.com, purchase tickets, see the laundry list of everyone who's going to be there, and the panel schedule, and just, honestly, everything. Like I said, I've never been to a con, very much looking forward to it, although I really do feel like I need a Wrath of Con shirt when I go there, just to be like, and it says like my first con, because I'm an asshole and I think those things are funny. Just want to throw a special shout out to Dan. We are dropping an episode on Sunday as we typically do, and this is the first interview that Dan's done all by himself.
Yeah, I mean, your mileage may vary. It was a fun interview with Brandon Kellum of American Standards, and it's looking like I'll be talking to Scott from Zayo here in a couple days as well. So, going to be flying solo.
Well, on that note, we are going to wrap this episode up. So look forward to Sunday's episode with Brandon Kellum of American Standards. We're even playing the new song that just dropped today as of when we're recording this, Phantom Limb. Head over to metalinjection.com or Metal Injection somewhere online, and you can go check out the song, or if you want to wait a couple days, we will have that new hotness at the end. Until next time, thanks for checking this out. Go to Astronomicon, astronomicon.com, get all your details. Thanks again to Jamie and to Bill for taking the time, and we will talk to you guys next time.